We ready?
Basically, we cancelled the whole year.
My last gig was in Amman.
We had to cancel that European tour. We pushed it to 21.
I felt in a big hole because from one day to the other, there was nothing to do anymore.
Club culture doesn't work with distance.
When the clubs start to reopen, we're going to see a lot of young, new people.
Of course, there was a black hole and we all stayed at home.
This is going to be a game changer for everybody.
It was the weirdest year we ever had, I would say. Basically, we cancelled the whole year. From first of all, like we started with vacation in 2020, and then we had like maybe 6-7 shows until March, and then when the real lockdown here in Germany, like the real first lockdown came here in Germany, we had to cancel everything, and already the whole world was in lockdown.
Yeah.
My last gig was in Amman, and I could feel even that on this night there was something really weird. They were like, oh my God. And of course everyone talks already about it, but no one knows what's really happening. And I went home and I had a feeling, oh my God, there's something going on. And of course my whole year was more or less planned.
Pandemic found me at the beginning of a really amazing year. 2020 was going to be so good. I had 3-month European tour, another month American solo acoustic tour, South American tour, a week in Africa, my first African tour, 2 albums coming out, and that was going to be like, I don't know, one of the busiest live years I've had in a long time, because we just looked at 2020 and just went, just give it to me, just book it, And as soon as we booked the Africa tour, I'm like, I'll play anywhere, just let's go. So, yeah, a lot of gigs. Unfortunately, it's all not turned out the way we thought it was going to turn out.
I have a new project called Craig Walker in the Cold, which I've been working on with my partner in the project, Eric Alcock, here in Berlin, for 6 months previous to February. And in February, we went to Paris and played at the La Cigale, which is a really famous venue there, our first show. And we had great plans for the year. We were going to be touring a lot, and the album was going to come out in the middle of the year, of this year. But on the night of the Cigale, I got a phone call from a friend in Germany to say that things were going to get very tough very quickly. And that was the first indication that we were heading into a lockdown. And I was like, that can't be real. And it was. So I think we got back, the lockdown didn't happen, but then we had a 2-week period where we continued to work on the album. And then I think it was around the 13th of March, it was like, you could feel that the virus was like coming in on us, and everything shut down then for 3 months. So, but we had a lot of plans that were cancelled. Lots of tours we cancelled, which was annoying. But what can you do? You can't account for a pandemic.
We realized the situation for the first time at the beginning or mid-February, because we had planned a concert with a band from Israel. And Israel was earlier with the pandemic situation than was here. So we actually had planned the concert, and then it just turned up that the band said they are not able to come because there is this pandemic situation. I mean, we've watched that in TV, but somehow you always think it's somewhere else, but it's not here. And they said, we have it here in Israel, and the government just came up with rules that if people leave the country and come back from other countries, they have to go into quarantine. So they said they are not able to go into quarantine for 14 days because they have other shows, they have family, so they do not want to leave the country because they do not want to get stuck in quarantine. This was the first time we here at Gretchen was affected by that. And this was also the first time we thought, it seems to be a problem. It's not just everywhere else. It's also affected us here in Germany. And then slowly it came closer. And I think together with the Club Commission, we were talking about the pandemic situation that we might get in trouble by the end of February. And then beginning of March, we had the first so-called super spreader events in some clubs here in Berlin. And that was the situation that we realized we cannot open anymore. So we had our last show on March 7th, where we already knew that there is this virus and it's dangerous. And I think it was on Monday or Tuesday we just realized we cannot open anymore the next weekend because it's too dangerous. So we have to, because in the club you're so close together, and it somehow turned out that this might be a problem.
Thomas got stuck in New Zealand with the virus and the pandemic and all the lockdowns, and I stranded here in Berlin with my wife.
Well, I had to cancel everything, obviously. I was in Berlin the first time I really faced the pandemic. My manager called me, and I heard already in the news that there's this virus in China, and I was like, who cares, you know? And then my agent from Asia actually told me, oh, it's now spreading over Asia. We have to, like, there are not going to be Asia tours for a couple months. And so first we had to reschedule an Asia tour. And then at some point my manager called me and told me that, hey, I think it's going to be a problem. I think for the next couple months there's not going to be any shows until this is over. And I was like, wow, okay, you know, it's a free spring now. As long as in summer everything restarts again, it's not a problem.
So when we realized that we had to close, it was the first thing was to organize the money things, because we actually had no money at all at this moment, because it's running our club means we earn some money at the weekend and then we have to spend it, and then we have to earn new money and then we have to spend it. So the weekend was over, we have spent what we had, and suddenly we realized that we are not able to open anymore. So, but we have to pay all our bills, like fixed costs, like rental fee, the money for the stuff and everything. So we realized that we are getting in big trouble. So we tried to stop everything what is going off our accounts by themselves. We were talking to our landlord, we were talking to the staff, and trying to organize that. And on the second side, we also tried to figure out if our staff is in need of help, for example. So when they do not earn money anymore, if they will be able to pay their rent for their flats. So this was actually the first thing.
I was on a work trip with family, and then we had already some stops where we have to go, you know. And then, as Taslo said, we met in Australia. We had to play a gig there. It was like in end of
Mid-February.
End of February. And then I went to New Zealand, and then I was supposed to go to Tahiti, and Tahiti to Easter Islands. But then they said, like at the airport to me, if I was like in other countries before. In Asian countries. I say, yes. So it's not allowed to travel for me because of the virus. I say, oh, okay, cool. What I have to do then? I have to make like a health certification that I can travel or like continue my world travel. Then I asked them how long it takes. They said like 5 days. I said, okay, then my flight is gone. So then I was stuck there for a week in New Zealand, and then I was looking for this certification, for this health certification. But then I found out that New Zealand will lock down like the whole country like in the next days. So then I asked the Lufthansa to go back to Germany, but they said like, no, this direction is also not possible anymore. So it was not possible to go to west and not possible to go to east. So we stuck in New Zealand for like 2 months or 2.5 months.
We cancelled. We had to cancel that European tour. We pushed it to 21, and then I noticed all the big boys were pushing their tours out to 22. So I kind of said maybe we should push to 22, which we've done. Cancelled the Africa tour. That's not the kind of thing you can kind of plan very easily. And America was fully out, and South America is completely gone. You know, we actually don't know when we'll be able to go back.
This year was looking really good in that sense. We had most weekends busy until the summer. And then from there we were already talking with a few people. And yeah, everything got canceled. These days was really crazy. It was like one after the other, an email like, hey guys, here the government is closing, so it's not gonna happen. Hey guys, same story more or less.
Obviously, as we all know, that summer was also canceled. So at some point, I realized, wow, like this is not just 3 months. This is this is gonna be all year, you know, and longer. And obviously, when that point arrived, that realization, that was really difficult to accept. That okay, it's not just 2-3 months break, which is kind of nice, you know, to have like a 2-3 months holiday, but now that it's gonna affect the whole year, and even after that, it's gonna affect the whole industry and everything.
I suspected something like this was going to happen, simply because I keep abreast of the news, and my wife, she's actually Taiwanese, and she heard about coronavirus disease very early on in the beginning of the year. And so we were kind of monitoring this situation as it was happening in China. And when China started to go into lockdown, then I realized, okay, it's not going to be very long before it comes here.
I was just back in Berlin from my South African tour, and I had a couple of gigs here in Berlin, that I actually was able to play. But then even the last one I remember was close to the 19th of March, and it was already this vibe out in the streets, like some places were still open, some other places were already closed. It was this people talking about but not knowing really what was going on, or how it was going to affect us. Some big clubs, I remember, they decided to close just for responsibility. I had a US tour coming on April, right away after March. Of course, everything got canceled. And yes, a few gigs also here in Berlin. Like I had the 10th anniversary of my label, Red Light Music. And that had to be also, of course, canceled or postponed. Now it will be 11 years.
And I think probably everybody thought it's something about like 2 months, maybe 3 months. So we were just thinking about, okay, it's going to be hard and we will get in trouble because we're not able to pay our bills and we are not able to pay our rent. So we have to organize that, but then it will go on. And this never happened till now.
Well, I had my first notice from the pandemic, I think in February. I had my last DJ booking in February also. And like everybody in the beginning, I thought, well, that's going to be over in April. That's what they said in the very first phase of the pandemic. I was sure that clubs were the first thing to be closed and the very, very last thing to reopen again. The next 6, 7, 8 DJ bookings were cancelled.
Late 2019, we actually officially started the company, founded the company, hired people, built a new office, moved into the new office, and then this was end of February, and then we've been in this office for 2, max 3 weeks, and then we went into the lockdown.
Everything stopped after March last year, and therefore also for all the gigs and that I had planned got cancelled, and everything that was supposed to happen was postponed to 2021, and eventually now it looks like it's going to be a little bit more.
We actually never made any, not even profit. We actually had no income because until that point we were just building the company, starting the company. So I was lucky that my partner brought some funding money into the company, but of course we had a plan, we had a business plan, how to evolve with this whole company, when to start making income, when to become profitable, of course. You know, we start with for business plans, of course. And on that day when Corona started, when the lockdown started, this whole business plan didn't work anymore.
We came back to Berlin from Panama. Like we normally, actually, since we moved here, we always spend the winter in Panama or in the region. So we came like mid-February. We came to Berlin, and then a couple of days later we went to Asia. We had like a small tour in Asia, and just right before everything was closed, we came back. We made it back to Berlin. I think the last gig was Singapore.
Was Singapore, then we had Katablau, but it got cancelled the same day. It got cancelled the same night, yeah.
Spain was the second highest, where most cases happened after Italy. And my friend worked in the hospital in he told me, Gary, I see this like it's gonna be serious. This is not gonna last like 1 month or so. I remember we had this conversation by the beginning of April, and he said, man, I'm experiencing here a lot of people is coming to the hospital every day. I see this is gonna be big. And he advised me, I know you don't want to do this, but my advice will be that you try to find an in-between job, right? For this time that we don't know how long it's gonna last. Because if there are no gigs, of course you don't have any income, most likely for most of the DJs and producers, unless you can, of course, from producing music, yeah, but most of the money we do it from the gigs. And yeah, streaming and so on is not the same thing, right?
Our industry was shut down and we suffered a lot, but in the human side of things, it was very different compared to Panama.
They were saying, this is how you do it. You do it like this, 6 weeks, complete lockdown. Don't, you know, no one goes out, no one does anything. No one listened to them. And now, you know, almost a year later, they're still not managed to sort it out, and they've still not managed to kind of like convince the people that you have to be disciplined and responsible. And this is about, how many lockdowns do you want to endure in your life because of this? 1 or 10? You know, that's the question. Vaccine or no vaccine, that's something else. But, you know, to immediately kind of react to this pandemic before it even became a pandemic, then they could have done something much earlier. And I think that the repercussions that it's had on the music community, especially here for us in Berlin, has been devastating, really. You know, it's been devastating, especially when you look at the way music and entertainment and just general entertainment here for Berlin is really looked upon. It's as if it's a kind of an afterthought, you know. It's like, well, you know, I'm a DJ, what do you do for your day job kind of thing? It's a bit of an afterthought, you know. Entertainment is just something that you did in your free time. No considerations given ever to the people who actually create these events and put their, you know, investments on the line to do an event or party or whatever, or even just to make the music, you know. These people are never given any kind of consideration, artists and stuff. And when you look at Berlin, at what Berlin is and has become since the fall of the Berlin Wall, you know, Berlin is the entertainment center of Germany, if not generally of Europe, really, because, you know, people come to Berlin mainly to have a good time. They come here to be entertained. They come here to see the city, but to be entertained. And if we don't have an entertainment city, we actually have nothing really much to offer. You know, all these startups, all the gentrification has all occurred because Berlin is a cool city, has a cool image. It's an open-minded place. It's a place where you go and you can be yourself and find people like yourself, you know. That is, you know, if we don't maintain that, if we don't support that, if the government doesn't support that and understand, you know, what it means to, generally to Berlin and just, you know, the image of Germany as such, then, you know, what is Berlin without that?
The Berlin club culture, which is really famous and all over the world, it brings a lot of tourists into the city. This is good for the city, so because the city is making a lot of money with our guests, but to be honest, also we live from these guests. So as long as the virus is everywhere and we have these travel restrictions, we will not have enough people in the city to have a normal club life. And there are also people, I think, who might be afraid, even if it sounds more safe. People might be afraid getting close together with other people. They already made some studies where a lot of people said that this one thing, what they would do last after everything else, when everything is fine again, is going to a club, is going on a concert, so people might be afraid. And there might also be people, to be honest, who will not have enough money to do something cultural, because it's not only us who are affected. There are a lot of people who are affected by the virus who lost their jobs and everything. So it's not only one thing. It's a very wide perspective. I think you have to have focusing on club nights. So this is why I think that probably there will something be in summer. Maybe we can do something in autumn, but it will be with social distances, pretty much for sure. Then there's a big question mark, what's going on with the next winter? Then we have a summer again, and I really hope that then everything fits together again, so that I really, to be honest, don't think that we have a normal club life before mid or even end of 22.
So actually, and I start to work a little bit political-wise, and we were building an association called Booking United in Berlin. It's an association for DJs, artists, people who work in the creative and industry, mainly artists, but also agencies, managers, everyone who's involved, which is a really, really big business nowadays, because we had the feeling there was no one who represent us. And when it came down to lockdowns, pandemic, everyone got help, every business, everyone has a lobby. But sorry, we didn't have a lobby. So for us, it was quite helpful and really important to build a lobby, that we were telling the politicians and the people, hey, we are really serious. We are not this raving people who is every weekend going out of our minds. No, we are actually a really big business part. We pay all our taxes. And so now we started in March. We have more than 160 agencies. The biggest agencies you have to think about, they're sitting in Berlin. They have all global players playing around the world. And there were, from the first day, completely jobless. And there are agencies in this association from one person until an agency with 30 people that work there, you know. So, and then we have 2,000 artists, DJs, also in this association. And there is the DJ who is playing in a little resident bar. He's also in there, as well as a really big global player. So I don't want to tell names, but almost everyone is in there, you know, from Germany, and pay taxes in Germany. And I'm the speaker for all these DJs. And for us, it was quite important that we had a voice, that we got heard, because no one was thinking about us. Of course, there was a lot of programs, and everyone started, we United, we stream, people could spend money to help the clubs, but no one was thinking about the people behind it also, like also the DJs. I mean, they're now, we are 9 months without any income. Think about this, you know. We have mostly all of us have families. And of course, everyone is like, haha, I saw this super Instagram post. You must have a lot of money, you know, because you were doing private jet, 5-star hotel, all these things were coming. But this is also not true. Also, like a global player with a lot of income spent this money because he grown up his industry. He has an agency, he has people who work for him. So it's not that we're using this money to have a super life. And a lot of us have studios. You have to pay for this. We have to pay still rent. We are still there, and we still have no income since 9 months. And everyone is laughing, you know.
We made them smaller.
We had to. The whole team is reduced a lot, and cost reduction a lot. You know, like with before the pandemic, we spent a lot of money just easily on photographers, on social media content, on graphics content and stuff. It's all reduced. It's all reduced, and that's why it's all. You know, like a graphics designer these days, probably who lived out of like doing expensive record covers, expensive video animation for releases. They are all kind of reduced in their income. You know, because of that, it's all like a circle. You know, so we did that too. We tried to bring everything down to the minimum we have to spend.
It was quite interesting to build Booking United, to have a voice, and to also make sure that the politician in Germany knows that we are really playing a big part of it, and this industry is really massive. And if you think about all this event and party industry, we are 6th time bigger, the biggest part in Berlin, in Germany. We are bigger than, for example, the construction industry, with all the jobs behind. No one was believing this, but it is like this. So, and no one is helping us and saying, yeah, let's see, you know, because we don't have a big lobby. If Lufthansa are going to the German government, oh yeah, of course we're going to help you, or the big travel agencies, whatever. But if suddenly an association of DJs is coming, say, hey, hello, we also need money, they were first laughing at us. But now we did a really, really good job. We are constantly talking with the politicians and also have a voice in the press, and actually people notice that we are there, and we are actually the main reason also why people come to Berlin. Why is Berlin so nice? Because it's completely colorful, it's diverse, we are urban, and culture is really important because this is something what is we're all missing now. People need places to get lost, and we are a subculture, which is amazingly important, I think. If you don't have clubs, or if you're not building clubs, if you not have the visual guy who make cool ambient, if you not have someone who create wonderful music and produce this music, and whatever turns into completes this business. So there is a huge lack in our society, and we were missing a lot of big things. And subculture didn't get the attention, in my point of view, like we deserved. But now we are there.
Unfortunately, at the moment, we only can survive through governmental support. And this is a strange situation for us, because we are used to do everything by our own. So we are usually not governmental funded, although there are a lot of cultural branches who got governmental funding to do the cultural program. We are not funded. So, and we are kind of, sometimes we are a little bit proud of doing everything by our own, but at the moment it doesn't work. We are not able, because we cannot rent out the venues for other things, because they have the same restrictions. So there is no way out. We need the governmental funding. And I think that the politicians already realized that there will be even more difficulties, even when it's getting a little bit better. It means that we won't be back to normal from 0 to 100. I mean, we had to close down from 100% to 0 super quick, but it doesn't work the same way other way around. So we need some time, and we really try to explain this. We really try to explain this to the politicians, and I think they started to realize and to understand.
But from when the government started to support you, actually? From the beginning, or took some time?
Yeah, it's the funding is a difficult situation, because we have on the one hand side we have like the country funding, and then we have in Germany we have all these tiny little countries, like Berlin is a country and Munich is in Bavaria, and they all have own governments, and culture actually belongs to these local governments. So we have, in Berlin, we are really lucky, because we have a government here who really understand the importance of club culture. So we are funded by the Berlin government, which works in addition to the bigger programs from the whole government. But not every federal state is funded by their own governments. This is really difficult for some of them. But here in Berlin, it's quite okay. I mean, they hold us like this. So, but we are really suffering. Nobody has any money anymore. It's just that we get enough funding not to break down immediately. And this is also the reason why it's so important that we get something when we slowly start, because we don't have anything else anymore. We are funded with rental fees and things like that. Our staff is paid by a governmental program. So far, not those who work just in between with us, but the normal stuff, which is working regularly, is funded by the government.
And that's what we have to look at, that the government has to look at that and understand the entertainment business is the business of this city. Clubbing alone earned 2018 something like 1.4 billion euros, which is a considerable amount of money for any entertainment sector anywhere in the world, really. It's like, it's like Las Vegas or something, But this is about clubbing, it's about partying, having a good time, people generating income for the city. through having a great club with a great ambience, feeling that you don't get anywhere else, anywhere in the world, is here. And if they don't support it, then we won't have this in the future, and then everyone will be, standing in the social security office,